Homan is former acting director of ICE and a Fox News contributor. I don't know, Tom, you tell me. I mean, why are they slow walking this thing? Can't be good news if they're trying to hold it back.
No, look, I was the ICE director, and I oversaw that division that put the ICE statistics together every year. They had those final numbers probably by the third week of October. So I wouldn't call it slow walking it. They're trying to figure out how to spin the information. The data is not going to be good. If you look at the first half of the year, if you extrapolate that throughout the fiscal year, total removal is going to be down 90%. 90%. And they said they did all this to focus more on criminals. Well, I think the report's going to show that removals of criminals is down 65%. If they send out an accurate report, which I doubt they're going to do, it's going to clearly show they may not have abolished ICE, but they abolished ICE's mission. They can't do their job anymore. They're putting less handcuffs on criminals, but they put the handcuffs on the officers and the agents at ICE because they can't do their job.
Yeah, you clearly know what you're talking about. So does somebody else. His name is John Fear, former ICE chief of staff. He says, quoting here, "It's absolutely shocking that the release of the ICE report hasn't happened. I assumed at worst they'd put it out on New Year's Eve when nobody's paying attention. But even that didn't happen. I can't imagine the outcry if we had not produced this report under the Trump administration." I mean, that's a fair assessment. Can you imagine what the media would have said if this thing never came out under President Trump?
Look, John Fury is a great guy. John Fury worked for me when I was the ICE director, and he has his thumb on the pulse of this thing. And I can't wait for the report to come out because I'm going to tear it apart because I know how that report is put together. If they continue what they did the first 6 months, which I think is even going to be less, they may have 65,000 to 70,000 total removals. In FY19, they had 267,000. Even last year, with COVID running rampant, they had 186,000 removals. So to come out and say we got 65,000 removals, they can't spin that to make sense to the American people. This is open borders. I think many of the immigration advocates in the White House and at ICE and at the Department of Homeland Security are going to applaud this, but they're going to have to explain to the American people why immigration enforcement has been abolished in this country.
You said earlier they're figuring out a way to try to spin this. I mean, what is it? If the numbers are what you say they are, how do you spin this if you're the administration?
Which is why it's taken months to come up with something. Look, at the same year they had historic illegal immigration on the border. The numbers of illegal immigration on the border this year was an all-time high, historic high. In the same year have historic illegal immigration, ICE is going to have the least amount of arrest and removals in the history of the agency. That itself should speak to what's actually happening. And I think are they going to report the numbers the same way they did in past years? I think they're going to change the way they report the numbers to try to hide some of the numbers. For instance, total removals. They used to separate how many did ICE arrest and remove and how many did Border Patrol give to ICE to remove. They're going to see if they combine them and try to make numbers look better. But the American people need to know, what exactly is ICE doing? There's two things they're going to do. They're going to say, well, the border's out of control. A lot of ICE agents had to be deployed down the southern border. Well, look, you created that crisis. You can't blame the lack of work based on a crisis you intentionally created. And the second thing is they're going to say, well, Title 42, a lot of people return to Mexico, not given to ICE. Wrong. Right. More people were returned under Title 42 in FY20 by far than was removed in FY21. That's what's taking them so long. They can't figure a way to lie to the American people that's going to make sense.
I got to go here, Tom, but is this, in your estimation, a tacit admission that the administration's policies are not working very well?
They'll never admit that, but I think it's going to show the American people these policies are failing the American people. Our borders less secure, this country is less safe because of Biden's open border policies.
Tom Homan, good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Good to see you, Trace.